And we're live.
All right, we are back again here. It is for us right now as we're recording this. It's 12:19. We're back to the Chabinet meeting. We have a lot more stuff to get into today. Some interesting craziness. Not only with what's going on inside the House of Representatives, we have a massive breach. Possibly from Russia and a number of different agencies, and still craziness going on with voting or possibly
Uh,
issues Supreme Court. Anyway, I am the department chair,
I am the cabinet.
and you can clearly hear that the cabinet is already forlorn at the all the things that are going on. I share your feelings. This
Well, okay. Explain to me because I only saw a little bit yesterday, and I pretty much just rage quit. I didn't want to read the news. Um, are you
just
telling
explain to you
me
what's going on.
that U.S. agencies are finally admitting that their networks are completely compromised, or are they saying, "Oh, we had this one breach, but it's not that bad. We're going to sweep it under the rug"?
Well, I'm not 100% certain, but from what I understand, at least with the 3 or 4 articles I did read, Microsoft alerted the government agencies that, hey, we think there's a breach that may have occurred. We just want to let you know. Now,
Really, Microsoft, like, not that we haven't known for years that the processors of every computer and every phone have backdoors to China. Not that we haven't known for years, like since Ken Thompson said it in like 1984 or whatever. The guy who like was coded the Unix operating system said if you don't code it yourself, you shouldn't trust it.
right.
Not that we haven't known for years that when you put things on the internet, like if you're using a remote site that's not at a government black site with red Ethernet cables, and by the way, red is the color that means. Should I tell the Chi-Coms this? I guess they probably already know. So, that if the Ethernet cables are red, that means it's a local area network tied exclusively to that place. I mean, so which agency? DoD, CIA,
There's
Pentagon,
the list apparently is
right?
growing.
Nuclear defense, right? The Department of Energy got hacked. So it's like, guys, why was your stuff kept anywhere public, and or why was anyone allowed into your organization who was, I don't know, not at least third generation American with patriotic leanings?
How dare you be so ethnocentric? How dare
Yeah.
you? How dare you assume that? Wait. We mean we need security?
I mean, like this is as old as time. In Beowulf, when the frickin' Danes show up, sorry, when the frickin' Geats, who are a long extinct people now,
Yeah,
um, or perhaps amalgamated into other cultures, we don't know,
yeah,
show up to help the Danes, the guy on the coast is like, "Who the hell are you, and what are you doing here?" There's a literal coast guard.
right.
So people who, I mean, the what we perceive to be Viking cultures. I know that word is really a verb and not a noun, but
Hmm.
these people who are, very, um, let us say, not civilized in a modern way. They weren't people with walls, as you would say. They were people who believed that you should, keep mobile, and they, they didn't really, like they had kings and things, but their kings had less power than most other European kings.
Right.
Um, I mean, Iceland is like is a case study in what an anarchy government sort of looks like if you were to have one. Because for years, Iceland didn't even have a government; it just had a yearly court. You could show up to the yearly all thing. That was the court, and you could like bring your grievances if you couldn't sort them out with your neighbors. Right? So like these are
I mean,
people who
is
did really didn't have a lot of institutional structures. Um, but even they recognize the value in sort of like checking people at the door,
is that
which
the
I think
ultimate
we've
form? I'm sorry.
lost.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing. Like, is that the ultimate form of small government?
Iceland, yeah, the like anarcho Viking situation. Yeah, it was literally like it's the Wild West of the ancient world, I
The
guess,
Wild
or the
West
early medieval world.
the wild north
Hmm.
Vikings.
No, no, like check out the Iceland history from the 900s. It's nuts.
Oh no, I a little bit. I know a little bit, and that's why I'm laughing. Like, oh, I forgot about that. But no, you're not far off. I mean, the list is growing, and we don't even know just how extensive the list is. I mean, the Treasury Department, Home Security, Energy and Commerce Departments, National Institute for Health. And the thing is, it wasn't just the United States government. Apparently, the connections in these individual groups are not just government related. They also went to private companies in the United States, Europe, and Great Britain.
Of course they
So,
did, because most of those companies are international companies who have no home
right. So
and no loyalty, presumably.
this is a massive, massive breach. And well, first off, I think I get a check off there. I mean, what was it? 1 week, 1 week, and I, I get one. I think I get a check off here because how many news agencies? It's everywhere.
Hold now. Let me check your record. So what was the claim?
Uh, that there would be some sort of hacking breach or breach of some sort, if I remember correctly,
Hold on. All
and it
right.
would be all over the media.
So we might as well review our claims. We've been at this for a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, will Biden's policy be substantively different on COVID? Will the U.S. and U.K. reach a trade deal?
Mhm.
Um, Second or Fourth Amendment will be further infringed. Shutdown orders will start to roll in from a variety of states. Will SCOTUS be seen as more political? Um, will Israel and Saudi Arabia normalize relations? Will drilling in Anwar proceed? Will Macron lose power? Do you believe that a time goes on, and with Trump on the way out of office, we will hear more allegations of Chinese interference,
It's not
such as
China.
this and worse?
I should have
Ah,
said China and Russia.
ah. So,
I
so,
mean,
so, so, malefactors across the world.
I mean, technically, I lose because it's
It's
supposedly the
expressly
Russians.
China. I will give you a partial win on this. Um, I will
I
give you a
mean,
partial win in that I bet China is involved in this,
to some degree.
and perhaps has done well enough. That is to say, I bet they opened the door and were smart enough to close it behind them. And I bet when the Russians opened the door, they were, let us say, less
Smart.
competent and left
Or
it open.
well, see, and
And
that's the
that's
thing
why
I
they were
wanted.
caught.
That's why I wanted to ask you, not to, because this is the part I'm getting to that I find interesting. This is almost turning into an article itself.
Yeah, it is.
Did the Russians leave the door open on purpose?
Oh, yeah, right. Like okay, so that fits the Russians' disinformation strategies and things. Yeah, you're right because China just wants the info.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because their goals are to beat us in every
Right.
category if they can.
Mm-hmm.
Russia knows they can't beat us, or they've given up on that, or they realize China's also a threat anyway, and so they're not playing that game anymore. They're playing more
Right.
local games, but they're happy to see us taken down a peg. So Russia's much happier to take you down with them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I would buy that. So actually, this fits my prediction. My prediction was yes, China will do worse, and no, the press won't cover it.
Okay. Okay. You want to go that way?
And that's why China has not been mentioned in these articles. Of
China's the
course, I can't
hamburger.
prove that.
China is sort of the hamburglar. Well, actually, no, that would be Russia because Russia constantly gets caught in this case, but it's
Yes.
probably on purpose. Oh my god.
Yep.
All right.
All right, that's
So
entertaining enough.
yeah. Oh,
But it's terrible. As a person who grew up in the like my father served in the Cold War. Those people put their lives on the line, risked every day, believed that what they were doing was trying to prevent a nuclear war and also prevent the spread of communism, which enslaved and impoverished people across the world,
Mm-hmm.
and still does.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, those old Cold Warriors are gone. and they no longer run these agencies, and these agencies are just doing what's ever convenient for them.
Here, um, I just want to throw this one part out from this one article from the Washington Post. Um, so the recent hack emerged only after FireEye, one of the nation's leading cybersecurity firms. Is that the one that is connected with oh god, major security company whose name
Yeah,
eludes me? Raytheon. I think that's one
yeah,
of Raytheon's
probably. Look,
branches.
my friend, a couple of years back, he works in cybersecurity professionally at a very very high level. I think he gets paid six figures now.
Hmm.
Um, he works wherever in the country he chooses, and he gets paid at least, full benefits and, you know, the whole nine.
Yeah. Um,
And he published a white paper years back, like I think like 2014 or something,
mhm.
that basically said Honeywell is completely compromised. All the defense contractors are using them for their cameras, and this is probably the tip of the iceberg. And nobody read that thing. Nobody important read that thing.
Right. Uh,
But there
so
it is.
yeah, and so FireEye is saying that it itself was targeted by hackers who stole potent cyber attack tools that FireEye used for research purposes. The hackers used multi-step techniques that apparently started with the hack of SolarWinds, a company down in Texas, that allowed Russians to manipulate software updates for system reliant on the company's Orion software, a popular monitoring tool that creates profound access across computer networks.
Yep. Yep.
So
And from
that's how they're
there,
saying it
like,
happened.
yeah, I mean, I can't wait till they till the Chinese have AIM-9 sidewinders, which are arguably the most advanced infrared-seeking missile in the world at their current generation, not the original ones that were developed in the 80s or whatever,
Right.
um, or at least way up there. And yeah, cool. Thanks.
Good
I don't know.
times.
I get angrier every time I think about it because I realize that there's like this is not going to be a quick fix.
It will never be a fix
Well,
because it just,
I know the fix, but it will never be implemented because it's politically untenable.
right. And that's the problem.
Which is to remove everybody who has anything to do with any of this and start fresh with a completely clandestine military information service.
American only
Yeah.
military
Well, as I said,
companies
third
building from
generation
the inside
or
out.
better. I'm
Right.
not trusting second generation immigrants. I love them; they're great. I work with lots of them. I like first generation immigrants, but sorry, you were born in another country. There's no reason we should trust you. Maybe the government that hates us still has your family. Maybe they're sending you blackmail letters. Like, just no. It's not that I'm assuming bad things about people. It's that
Right.
I'm assuming bad things about foreign governments, and
Right.
that's safe to assume.
Yeah. I mean, look at North Korea and the few Chinese citizens that make it out. That what they say. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
ugly,
mean,
but
there should be
unfortunately
loyalty
true.
tests for the highest levels of classified clearance. That's it. There shouldn't be
Yeah.
loyalty tests to like become a citizen
Right.
necessarily. There shouldn't
Right.
be loyalty tests to, well, there are loyalty tests to enter the military. There are oaths, but it's to some degree it's more
Yeah.
superficial or viewed as superficial in many ways. So, but there need to be very severe, vetting of anybody who's going to be working on our computer systems, and those systems should all be private networks. They should not be international, global computer networks that are open to access.
Hmm.
Anyway, grumble, grumble, grumble. So you
Well,
also got
let's.
this thing. So that was like one, but two is like you've got this. The far left progressives are pushing and pushing and pushing for universal health care. That's their highest policy priority. Obamacare was a disappointment for them. The Republicans tried to limit it in many ways, although as a conservative, you may feel the Republicans did nothing to limit it. But it's not enough. So
Well, I've been just to clarify. I mean, I've been it's always interesting to see the opposite perspective of your own, because I want to be able to see, well, why does this group of people that for the most part I disagree with say what they say? What is their perspective? Because it's my personal belief that individuals want what is good for their people, right? And just because I don't agree with them doesn't mean that they don't have good intentions. Now, I mean, there are people out there with bad intentions, but I think for the most part, when individuals who are very progressive or very liberal vote the way they do, they're voting for someone who they think is going to change their country for what they perceive to be the better. I want to know what that better is in their eyes and why they feel the way they do. So I've been listening to this Jimmy Dore guy, apparently who was a former comedian who's been involved, a very progressive individual for a very, very long time, has his own radio show. And I've been listening in for the last few weeks, just out of curiosity when I have a spare minute to see, like, where is their mindset at? And he is very progressive, um, more progressive, I would say, even than possibly AOC, or at least in AOC's corner. But once you read this article, as we stated we were going to do, he's angry. He
All right.
and his followers are angry at people like
Well,
AOC for not
let me
bringing this
read
vote
because
forward.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
I think that his anger sort of matches the conservative anger on the other side, where you get these politicians in, and they promise they're going to do these things, or they strongly hint that they're going to do these things, and then they take the most timid possible step towards your policy goal, even when they control, the House or whatever. In the Republicans' case, they controlled all three, House, Senate, and presidency for the first 2 years of the Trump administration, and arguably did very little.
Right.
Um, so let's see what the left is upset about. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi can afford to lose the support of only a handful of her government House Democratic colleagues in order to be elected on January 3rd. That's true. She needs a majority in the House,
Hmm.
but it's hard to imagine. See, because this is written in such a way, it's hard to imagine that an AOC type would get the majority of the Democrats that are in the middle of the House. So both sides would have this problem,
Well,
both
I,
factions.
well, something interesting, because Biden is bringing on a lot of House representatives onto his cabinet. He's taking away more of those right-leaning liberals, those old school liberals away. So though I don't think they get
So,
to
so
vote.
you're saying that Biden's cabinet is filled with pseudo moderates? I mean, didn't he make like
Not
Beto
all.
O'Rourke Gunzar or something?
No, no, no. But what I'm saying is that what's interesting is I read a article corresponding with this to some degree, and it made some sense to me. Where apparently he's going to stop that. He's going to slow down and wait till possibly Nancy Pelosi gets voted in before bringing more of those people on his cabinet, because he might be getting fearful at the possibility that taking them away will not give him the number of votes possible, or maybe to bring something like this forward that he doesn't want to happen.
Right. So,
Um,
so I see. So they are going to have some internal troubles. I mean, it's not like there's a risk of the Republicans getting a majority in any of these scenarios.
no, no,
Okay. So, I mean, the article's a little misleading in that regard. Some
yeah.
Democrat will be House Majority Leader, and probably Pelosi out of sheer inertia. But, as you're saying, there is a challenge from the left. A handful of outspoken left-wing activists are pressuring Ocasio-Cortez and other progressive House lawmakers to take advantage of the vulnerability to force a vote on one of their leading issues, Medicare for All. The commentator Jimmy Dore and Brianna Joy Gray, Senator Bernie Sanders' 2020 presidential campaign spokesperson, led calls for Democrats to refuse to vote for Pelosi unless she holds the first House floor vote on a single-payer health care plan, which is entirely symbolic because the Senate is controlled by Republicans and will still be on January 3rd.
I
Right?
hope so.
January 6th is the Georgia runoff.
Uh, I hope
Yeah.
so.
So she can't actually. Anyway,
Uh,
they said progressives, and it's hard to imagine like a Joe Manchin voting for Medicare for all. He can get away with all kinds of like Medicare benefit plans and government bloat in the health sector, but I don't
mhm.
think that actual socialized health care sells in West Virginia.
Well, people like Jimmy Dore are saying, like, if we don't, again, I'm using his
We don't use
words
this now, we'll never get another chance, basically.
exactly. Like,
Yeah.
this is it. This is our opportunity. We must do this now. Um,
Ram it through.
Pelosi is weak.
Yeah.
Strike now. That's kind of the mentality.
Yeah. They said progressives would be foolish to waste what they considered a golden opportunity to promote Representative Pramila Jayapal's Medicare for All legislation amid a raging pandemic and with millions of newly uninsured Americans. Terrible. Force the Congress to show which side they are really on, pretending to be part of a movement, but in reality running cover for Pelosi. All right, so Cortez is being attacked from the left.
Yes. I mean, they're all week they've been yelling, "She's gaslighting! She's gaslighting!" Like, they're freaking out at her.
I mean, their
Um,
whole thing is gaslighting. Why would they be surprised when they use it the other way? Anyway,
right, yep. It's like, I mean,
I mean,
come on,
literally, the tactics they're asking for is take advantage of the circumstance, take advantage of the pandemic.
right?
Like that's not manipulative. Anyway, but
Yeah,
she's manipulating us.
you want to keep going because there's something
Yeah.
interesting here.
Gray joined Dora's call in a Tuesday piece for the progressive publication Current Affairs, in which she said threatening to remove Pelosi from the speakership would help draw media and public attention to the health care debate. A floor vote on Jayapal's bill could capitalize on the public's overwhelming approval for Medicare for All. What is public approval for Medicare for All right now? Do you know?
No, because I don't even know what sources they're using. But they claim it's overwhelming, somewhere in the 64% range, if I remember correctly, the last poll they were looking at, but they never mentioned where that poll came
Public
from.
opinion on single payer, and of course, once people understand the details, their opinion shifts. All
Mm.
right. Most support federal government doing more to help provide health insurance. Okay, that's again. Once people understand the details of these things, it becomes different. Because you ask Thomas Sowell's universal question, at what cost? And then people realize, oh wait, that means I get taxed.
Yeah, and this, like, I can't. I'm trying to understand why this group of people is saying, yes, I want universal health care for all. Now, mind you, their big thing is, yeah, we want to help people who cannot help themselves. We are here to help everyone in our country be, we're the wealthiest nation in the world. We should have the ability to give everyone health care. Now, mind you, what's interesting, my wife had the same mentality, and I sat down and talked with her, and I said, listen, I don't want to change your point of view. You're in the healthcare field. I understand you feel that way. I mean, you see a piece that 99.9% of Americans don't see when you're watching someone die and maybe they don't have health insurance. Not that you know, but you're entwined with those
Yeah,
individuals.
sure.
But why do people feel that you have to earn your health care, in the sense that, I mean, when you're there, like, obviously if you're sick or whatnot, yes, you're going to be cared for. But then who pays for it? I
Somebody
mean,
pays.
somebody,
Or you're holding a gun to the doctor's head, and
right?
you're saying you will perform this surgery, and he's like, yeah, but I hate doing those kinds of surgeries. I did 5,000 of them, and I'm done doing those. I do these now. So my price for those is 3 times, and then you say to him, no, we must fix the price of this so everybody can afford them.
And it's, yeah, I mean, you're diving into the
That's
quality of
that's
healthcare
the
that
that's
inevitably
the
will
end game.
change. Right.
Well, I mean, I say holding a gun, and it's only a slight exaggeration. Obviously, you're not probably physically holding a gun, but he knows if he violates the law, then he could go to jail. That's
Right.
enforced.
Right.
It's not like so.
Well,
If you
why?
make a
Why?
law where people have to receive things, then you're also making a law where people have to provide them.
And I can't understand who they expect is going to pay for this. Who? If you get sick and you can't afford it, or you
Oh
don't
no,
have
it's,
the
it's the
proper health care,
wealthiest
who pays for it?
1%, right? We'll go after them. They can
But
afford it. Can't those evil rich codgers should have to pay?
so we have lost that ability. And now, not that this just goes with healthcare, but, and this is something you and I have talked about privately, I think, a million times. Where is the self responsibility?
Oh man.
Why am I passing the buck on to my neighbors to pay the taxes or the government when it should be something that I prioritize and fix myself?
I died. I don't know. Like I've been reading about the life of Andrew Carnegie lately, and like that guy earned everything. He came from nothing,
Where has that mentality gone?
and
Where?
he arranged to die penniless.
I can't. Where has that mentality gone? I understand that there are people in very bad situations who feel they can't get themselves out, but you have to take that first step. You have to do something. I am not against having certain programs to help people back on their feet because bad
Sure,
things do happen.
sure. I think that when you federalize such programs, they are almost inevitably worse than if they're local. But
Right,
sure,
but we can't go completely in that direction for everything. I can't. I
right.
can't.
Look,
Uh,
most you know out of sheer pragmatism and a willingness to get along with my fellow citizens,
mhm.
I prefer that we have some sort of minimum safety net.
Yes.
What I don't understand is the idea that the safety net should be expanded to include all persons.
Right.
That's crazy to me, and I don't think it should even include most persons. In fact, I think it should be a very small minority of people who who need the safety net, and the safety net should be springy. It should
Hmm.
bounce you back up. It shouldn't be something that catches you and holds you there forever.
Exactly. But it has to be run correctly, and I think that is
Well,
the problem.
you're asking governments to do things.
Right.
Clearly, they can't handle security, which is their like primal function.
And there you go. That's a fantastic point. Here's a group of people that want more from the government, but then complain that the government doesn't do things effectively. What are you expecting then?
Yeah.
You're expecting the government to do things correctly. Now, mind you, then they point to like evil corporations, and it's like,
But I mean, look, for a lot of these people, for these people on the like on the left wing of AOC, which is kind of hard to imagine, um, these people are not actually good faith actors in many cases.
mm-hmm.
I think that many of these people believe that they just need to tip late stage capitalism over the edge and then they can have their utopia. And so they're going to do everything they can to apply pressure to the existing systems and frameworks and delegitimize the existing systems and frameworks. That is to say, I don't think this is a majority of the people who identify themselves as progressive left.
Oh no,
That's not
this
what I'm saying.
is
I'm saying that
right.
there are some Marxist ideologues out there who are really, really pushing this stuff, and
Exactly.
that's where you get people on the left hand side of AOC, who's really more of a populist, at least in rhetoric.
Mm-hmm. All right, we'll keep moving here. Let's keep moving. Um, I think you were yeah. Right, and she quotes. Apparently, she tweeted back. So you issue threats, hold your vote, and lose. Then what? um, it's funny. Running back for the Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Jackson. Uh, Jokingly, I'm glad I traded him
Oh,
away.
I foolishly had I had my stuff muted that whole time that I was reading the tweet, but I did have it selected, so I mean, I guess people will see it. But anyway, just to repeat.
Yeah.
So basically, she's saying we don't have the votes. which is the excuse that conservatives often give when the right wing wants them to do something. So this is the normal game.
Hmm.
So sorry for that amateur
That's
mistake.
okay.
We're getting there.
No, it's all right. And the thing is that the rest of the article, kind of goes into where she says, "Look, I'm focusing on $15 minimum wage and elevating, long-term progressive ideals and
Oh
championing
man,
things to help other
the
people."
minimum
She's like,
wage
"Look at this,
argument
look at
is
this."
such a winner for conservatives, and I don't understand why they won't fight it. It's
Well,
so easy.
because
If you give somebody 2 minutes, you can explain to them why minimum wage hurts them, because it's usually young people working service sector jobs who think that this is going to improve their lives.
right,
And I speak with young people all the time who are like, yeah, minimum wage, I should be getting that. And I'm like, look, how old are you? 16. What experience do you have? None. Okay, so why would I hire you for $15 when your value is probably less? Why don't I hire you for $1 a week? Here, I give them this offer. I'll hire you for $1 a week. And after 2 weeks, if you've proven yourself valuable, I'll raise your wage to $30 a week. They
yeah,
all
you
like
go.
that deal. So,
So you go that
or
route.
$30 an hour, I should say. They all like that deal, and they realize, hey, wait a minute. If the minimum wage gets raised to this modicum, like this, what do they argue? A living wage, a basic standard. Well, it's like, okay, then only people who are worth that will get hired. So all the young people with no experience, who are a little surly and think they should deserve more, are not going to be the ones hired. I'm going to hire people out of college or whatever.
See,
Or I'm
I
going to
went
hire
more
college students rather than high school students. So minimum
right.
wage really, really hurts people.
And so you approach it from that route. I tell some individuals, I said, listen, I said, I could be wrong, but think of it this way. Let's say I'm a company and I am forced to pay a minimum wage of $15. When I was paying, and I said, what is the state minimum for New Jersey, Pennsylvania? It was
Yeah,
like
you're also going to let
$8 or
people
whatever,
go. That's
and
the
that's
other
the route
side.
I went. Right. So now I'm forced to pay 15. So I have to cut my workforce either in half. One, if I'm manager, either I'm cutting my workforce in half, or everyone's pay goes up to $15, but your hours go down.
Or I'm just hiring a much higher quality of employee who's going to be that much more productive during the time.
Right. And let's say you have that there too. And some of the people I talk to, these younger people are like, oh, oh.
Yeah, but
I
I
said,
mean, it takes 2 minutes to explain this to somebody, where they can actually work it through. They give you a real world example of where they're actually working, and you explain like this is why you're getting paid what you're getting paid. You can become more valuable, but only when you get experience, and the only way to get experience is to work for less.
right. But is that when the liberals do talk about this $15 an hour minimum wage, are they really targeting younger people, or are they targeting individuals who do not have college degrees, who are lower socioeconomical class? Like this is the job they're stuck at right now. Are they targeting those individuals?
Well,
Um,
of course, that's where the rhetoric, like that's their ideal case study if they're going to make their point, right? And that's what they
mhm,
revolve the conversation around. But the truth is that the vast majority of people on minimum wage are high school students and people without a college education. And, and,
mhm,
and people without a long work history that is reliable. And so,
mhm,
so that is to say, the people, minimum wage hurts far more people than it helps. And
yeah,
arguably doesn't even help the people that it would theoretically help, because all it does is give them something that is not actual value for the work
mhm,
they're doing.
mhm,
And so they learn nothing. They improve no skills.
right. Um,
Poverty should hurt.
yeah,
Is that
yeah,
like it makes me a terrible, terrible person? Poverty should hurt a little at least. It
right.
shouldn't
Step
be.
up.
It shouldn't be crushing.
You should not
Nobody
be
wants
comfortable.
people stuck forever in poverty. Nobody wants
Right.
people. I'm not Scrooge here. I'm not saying go to the workhouse,
Mm,
but
but
there should be enough pain to motivate you
right.
to want something better.
Right, a self responsibility to step up, to move on, to push past. But not everyone also has that mentality. Some
No,
people are very
and
defeatist.
the poor will always be with us.
Yeah,
which is
and that's
also a
that's the sad
reality.
part.
Like the question is
Right.
compared to here's the other Thomas Sowell question: compared with what? Are
Right.
you aiming for utopia? That's not realistic. Cut it out.
Right. Utopia is impossible. You can't. It is impossible to achieve. How many times have we tried to do it? It just cannot be done. There
Some
will be
people get
rich. There will
bad
be
breaks.
poor.
Sometimes you roll snake eyes.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
it's awful. I could get a bad break, but
yeah.
it wouldn't change my point of view
Right.
on
That's true.
whether or not it's right for me to reach into somebody else's pocket
Hmm.
to solve my difficulties, which admittedly may be circumstantial, may not be
Hmm.
entirely a consequence of my choices. But
Hmm.
yeah, back to Carnegie, you cannot get someone up a ladder lest he be willing to try but a little to climb himself.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Oh, wow, and there you go. I mean, that's a fantastic quote. Really diving into what we're talking about here. I just want to end with this last piece of the article. Let me just mention this, and it's funny because you were talking about sort of the uh, I think the socialistic ideals that some of these people are having to try to push this. And here, quoting something from a socialistic publication, the Jacobin, only
Chabinet.
asking, oh, yeah, exactly, only asking for that performative vote rather than also asking for things that might change the structural power dynamic would be a waste, and yet another instance of progressives reverting to a feckless tradition of prioritizing spectacles rather than wielding of actual power.
Yeah,
Sorota,
that's true of
yeah,
governments that's true of all democratically elected officials throughout all
right,
of history.
David
So
Sorota.
I guess there's yes,
Ooh,
Sirota. I don't, I'm not
well, yeah,
judging anybody's
socialist.
names, but
Yes, yes, socialist writer in the Jacobin. I mean, there you go.
yeah, I mean just the socialists are out in the open now. They're no longer afraid to be socialist, but um, Jacobin, that worked out so well, guys.
I had to throw that in there. It's just like, wow.
Yeah,
Again, how many people actually know what a
the history
Jacobin
of the
is?
French Revolution, the
It-
history of
let's-
what happened in England at that time, and
right, right. I mean, just
people
just
don't know who Edmund Burke was. But anyway,
please go look up guillotines, please. Just just
yeah.
just go there, and maybe you'll get enough information.
So let's start with lists. Start with frickin' lists. It goes back to
Oh yeah,
Sulla in the Roman Republic.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. The
but
list.
okay. So my I think my thing ties in a little bit. My thing this week is you and I are going to join together to take a little philosophy test, and we're gonna see what our average is. I think that we come out pretty strongly conservative and traditionalist and right leaning, but maybe there are some things that will surprise people. So
Yeah.
here we go. Screen number 2 is the one I want to share. Okay, and it does that for me. That's fine. So you should be able to see my screen now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So here we've got a political philosophy test, and there should be multiple axes here.
Okay.
All right. 60 questions. Man, we've never
Oh,
through. All right.
we have to burn through this.
Hierarchies will inevitably be formed in every society.
You want to ask me, or you want to do it? Or we both
I'm
get it.
asking you, and then I'll
Okay.
give you my 2 cents, and we can negotiate if we find we disagree.
Strongly agree.
Right. We are living in a postmodern age with no discernible true reality.
Disagree.
A truly democratic system is unrealistic.
Oh, so yeah, there's a little lag there. A true democratic system is realistic.
Um,
Disagree.
yeah, it's realistic enough.
Yeah.
You can have a pirate ship. It's not a good thing, but
You can have Yar.
the penal
Oh
system is
god.
designed to protect the interests of the ruling class.
Disagree.
We must retain the core constitutional principles of our institutions.
Agree. If not strongly agree.
Okay,
Yeah.
I said it to agree. I
Yeah.
almost clicked strongly. The
Yeah.
traditions of law and justice in my community must be greatly respected.
Strongly agree.
Okay. We should not question sovereign authority as long as it provides peace.
Oh, strongly disagree.
Good. I can already see this is a very we can see where this is going. A society that promotes equal outcomes for all is desirable. Equal outcomes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would love for everyone to be as we just described. I don't want people in poverty. No one does. These are my fellow Americans. I don't care the color of their skin. I don't care their religion. That they are my fellow Americans. I
Yeah.
love my fellow Americans. I want everything to be right. But the reality, see, that's half of me. The other half of me is like, that's impossible. Sadly,
Well,
bad things
I'm
will
all for
happen.
equal starting points.
Right.
If and even that, I think it might be difficult to achieve, but might be worth aiming for. Um, Equal outcomes, I think, is actually a cruelty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Society that promotes equal outcomes for
that's
all
Harrison
is
Berger on for me. Like that. That's where you're like saying, okay, well the handicapper general will come by and put some extra weights on you because you're too strong.
right. I promoting equal outcome, but like, what do you mean by equal outcome? That we're all stuck in the same situation? Uh,
Outcome.
yeah, but promotes does not force.
Uh, my vote is disagree
Disagree.
here.
Yeah, disagree. I'm leaning a little bit more disagree than agree. All right, so
The traditional family is unfortunately the embodiment of an authoritarian personality and ultimately fascist.
Jesus.
This is where
Okay, no.
Jacobin's coming from. See,
Strong.
place you weren't
Uh,
sure.
strongly disagree.
There is no grand tradition of anything, only various competing claims.
There is no grand tradition of anything, only various competing claims. So, various competing traditions?
Well, the idea is that no tradition is grand, nothing is sacred.
Disagree.
There's art in the world, there's beauty in the world,
Yeah.
so I disagree.
Yeah, I
And men
disagree.
have made such things.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have no transcendent pure purpose beyond our own material pleasure.
Strongly disagree.
Cool.
Mhm.
Collective obligations that are placed on an individual by society are inherently immoral.
Collective obligations that are placed on an individual by society. Disagree.
Yeah, I disagree. They're not
Yeah.
inherently immoral. I think they
Right.
often are, but not
Yeah, but
inherently.
no. Yeah.
Corruption and decay is an iron law of human society.
Mm. I'm torn on this one. Again, I believe that inherently happens no matter what, because there's humans will be humans, but then also you can change things if you are strong-willed, or
Yeah,
not change things, just maintain. Corruption, decay is an iron law. I'm going to say sadly agree.
yeah, I agree. I think that you can, I think you can control the rate of decay by your actions,
Right,
but the decay happens.
right.
And I guess I'm a little Newtonian in this, where I think that morality has like these strictures that align with scientific reality.
Mm-hmm.
And scientific reality, of course, is that entropy is a thing. I know that makes me a little flaky. I'm out there with Newton on like the transcendental science, but that's where I'm at. Anyway, I agree.
Yeah, agree. Yeah.
Humanity only experiences linear growth, not decay.
Well, it's either disagree or strongly disagree. Um, disagree.
Yeah, I disagree.
Yeah.
Like I agree with Steven Pinker that if you look at the big picture, the person living today, on average, anywhere on the earth, has it much better than a person living 1,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I disagree that um, that's inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
Societies develop through a cooperative social contract.
If if a social contract includes conflict of some sort,
Yeah, I mean, I
um,
think it has to, right? Like,
um,
well, I mean, implied in a contract is consequence for not agreeing to the contract, right? Or at least that the contract is promising these things in exchange for Y. So if you don't, give Y, then then you
Well,
don't get these things.
well, I think they're also saying a cooperative social contract. I think they're trying to say, like, do you think if everyone's hunky dory and happy, everything gets better, or does war, feature into,
Oh,
a competition?
all right.
Um,
I mean, but like I agree to cooperate, right?
yeah,
Right. Like
yeah,
when a police officer pulls me over,
yeah,
part of my reaction is to say, okay, I don't think I was doing anything wrong,
right,
but it will. Everybody benefits if I don't throw a fit, right?
right,
Everybody benefits. Society as a whole benefits if I obey the rules and then make my case within the rules.
right.
So I think I agree.
Agree. Yeah,
The concepts of good and evil are subjective.
strongly agree.
Strongly disagree. Oh man, so this is where we made it 16 questions.
Okay.
All right, so here's what I mean. I mean that I don't mean that people are in and of themselves good people or evil people, but
Hmm.
I think people are capable of good and evil actions.
Hmm.
You disagree.
I think that when it comes to subjective, I strongly agree because what is good to one individual could be horrible or evil to another. I mean, I can even just portray
Right, so
there's two,
cannibalism's good, right?
well, depending on how a certain society feels about it, they consider it a norm.
But you're
I'm not
saying that,
saying
that
it's right,
that's just because it's a societal norm. You don't think there are good and evil that exist outside of societal norms.
but that's completely dependent upon the society that does those things. I mean, look, just earlier today, my 7-year-old daughter was telling me that I was a bad person because I was telling her that there'd be a consequence for something that she was doing while hurting the dog, and that I was a bad man for putting that consequence on her. However, I'm doing it in the positive, saying, yeah, hopefully by doing this, you will not do that anymore. There's
Yeah,
a
but
consequence,
in what world is hurting the dog good?
but it's not. Yeah,
In so what I mean is like absent any other sacrifice or thing being weighed, right? We all make difficult choices at times, and we put wow, my daughter or the dog, it's going to be my daughter, but um, in the absence of anything bad happening to anybody, why would you want harm to come to the dog?
right. I
Well,
know where
and
you're
why do you think that's somehow societal?
because I think there are societies that have certain norms that are completely contradictory to other societies, as
Yeah,
we've
but just
seen.
because they have those norms doesn't mean those norms are good.
I completely understand what you're saying, but I'm just saying they exist.
Yeah, but
And because they
cannibals exist
exist,
too. That doesn't mean they're right.
but I'm not saying because they're right, but how are we instantly able to determine that the way we think is so much better than theirs? Listen, I don't think cannibalism is good. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is competing societies or different societies, one is no better than any other.
I think moral authority comes from experience and right living.
Well, then the majority of societies would inevitably change to what is probably the better over the course of
Oh no no
time.
no no
But
no no! Because people make bad decisions.
but people do sometimes make bad
The
decisions. But
societies make bad decisions. So I'm not saying that every society will trend towards good. I'm saying that there are universal rights and wrongs.
so then, wouldn't the majority of societies head towards good if
No,
that's the
no,
case?
because people are evil. Or that is to say, because people will behave evilly.
People will behave evilly.
Yeah,
I love it. That's
I mean,
great.
look, your daughter wants to grab the dog. She wants
Right,
what she
right.
wants. She has to be taught how to behave properly.
Right, but for her, it's her excuse. Well, I'm excited. I'm
Yeah, of
excited. I'm
course,
happy.
of
I want to
course.
wrestle with the dog. But your actions are doing
But
bad
but, but this
things.
is true of societies as well. People have knee-jerk reactions to things they want, and they don't think about the long-term consequences.
So are you saying then that most societies are evil?
I'm saying that most societies are um, are engaged in many evils, and that fortunately there is some right action that balances it out, or that people are able to individually act better and improve the society thereby. But that, yeah, people behave. I behave evilly at times. And I really believe that about myself.
Well,
But
I think we
it
all.
doesn't mean that I believe I can't control it or that I can't improve. Right? It's not like a pessimistic view where I think
Right.
that like we're doomed to be screwed and to behave like jerks. But I am saying that like we're doomed to behave like jerks sometimes, and that some societies have more things right than others. Or that is to say, have more important things right than others.
Hmm.
Under no circumstances is cannibalism okay with me. I don't care if it's existential.
Hmm. It's not okay with me because, but that at the
No,
same
I'm
time,
asking if it's
there's
existential. You're an island culture. You didn't have any other way out.
well, that's. I mean, their
I'm
society
saying
came to
under
be that
no
way.
circumstances it's still wrong. Now there might be other evils weighed,
You should
but
go
you're weighing that. That is to say, I think it's wrong to kill a man. That doesn't mean I wouldn't do so in a war
self
in which my
defense.
friends' lives are at stake.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't feel like what I had done was um, was a positive influence on the world, right? There's like you weigh choices and you make difficult choices, but
So,
sometimes evils are weighed into those choices, and sometimes we impulsively act evilly.
all right. So what do we do here
So we fundamentally disagree.
on this? Yes,
All
this is,
right, well,
and you and I have come to this disagreement before.
then I will
Um,
slightly disagree
for now,
in
yes,
deference to you.
that's because you have control of the clicker.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's out of our mutual cooperation
Yes, yes.
and our social compact. I have the power, but I'm not abusing it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Go
So,
on.
the Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been largely negative.
Disagree.
Yeah, I disagree as well.
Yeah.
There's some bad things, but
Yeah.
on the whole, it's been better.
Yeah.
People should be treated equally regardless of their social group.
Strongly agree.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a broad, like treated equally by governments, treated equally by other people.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like, okay, so you know,
I'm
five people are a
thinking.
part of Nazi lunch club. They all have swastikas on their arms. That's a social
Uh,
group.
okay. Yep. I see what. Yeah. Yep. I see
Look,
what you're
the
saying.
questions. I will agree. I will agree in general that they should
Yeah.
be.
Definitely agree.
Yeah,
Yeah. 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 I see.
but it's like treated. People should be treated. Well, and it is a political philosophy, so we do assume governments are involved. Um,
Yeah.
technological development has brought about a better world.
Agree.
Yeah,
Not strongly agree. Agree.
I agree. There's pros and cons.
Hmm.
Again, like we found ourselves on top of nature, and then we were like, oh, I guess we don't have to keep destroying nature out
Right.
of mere
Right.
existential need. And by the way, I think that it is okay for like a native person to cut down a tree to survive. I think once you're, you know, astride the world like giants using nuclear weapons willy nilly, it would be wrong and immoral and evil to continue to have that attitude. That is to say, sometimes evils are circumstantial, but the principle is the same. To ground any coherent
Perceptions.
worldview,
Perceptions.
one needs higher spiritual values.
Uh, disagree.
Right. I slightly agree here, and I think we
Um,
disagree because
hmm.
you don't view yourself as having higher spiritual values.
I do have
Okay.
spiritual
Can
values,
you
but
point to a person who doesn't, who is a good role model?
yes,
Okay.
yes, I certainly can, without even a shadow of a doubt. Um, and I think not to get into my personal religious views, I would say initially I was not a very religious individual because of the teachings of my parents, but I can directly point to them that treat every person the way you want to be treated. The golden rule.
Right.
Just the equality of man,
Biblical
everyone.
precept.
Right, but in the same instance, just as you said, yeah, it's right there. You know that biblical precept is there, and I would say I'm a little bit more spiritual now than I have ever been because I see those teachings in the actions of my family and who I have been, even prior to being religious. You know, to just treat people fairly, to treat people as equals.
But it's like, okay, so you can point to somebody who does not believe in a higher power and or doesn't believe that humans are divine in some way,
Hmm.
who who behaves this way,
Hmm.
and his name is
My father,
okay.
not a spiritual individual. As a matter of fact, he was pushed away from the church,
Hmm.
and not by the church, but from his own personal teachings. Now, mind you, I think more of his gripe was against the Catholic Church. His thing personally was that he could not stand that a person or a religious body could say that a child just born had original sin. That is his
Right.
biggest gripe.
Well,
That he
in the
could
way that the
not.
Catholic Church interprets original sin, they also interpret if the child dies without being baptized, it goes to hell. Right.
Right, and
That's
they
that's
can't.
the okay. So it's the dogma,
Yeah, he
but
can't. He
but
can't get
why
to
doesn't
that.
it? Why does it bother him though? Because he believes the child has innate moral value.
Um, he's more of the blank slate.
Okay, but if it's a blank slate, then why do you care? It's just some clay stuff.
Well, that a body, sort of a governing body of religion, has the ability to say what is versus if that is indeed the case, and they are the human arbiters on Earth.
Yeah, but
Then
if he
doesn't
doesn't
the
believe
man above?
that hell is a real place, it shouldn't bother him at all.
Well, he's trying to use their own logic
All right,
against them. So
I will defer to you once more. To ground any coherent verbal, one needs higher spiritual values. You say disagree.
yes,
Religion is merely a distraction from the material world.
disagree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Language developed as a tool. Language developed as a tool to dominate and exclude the other.
That could go so many different directions. Language developed as a tool to dominate and exclude the other. What do you make sense of that?
I think language is a tool and it can be used for many purposes, but
Correct.
its primary function was communication.
We're gonna go down. Okay.
So like
Yeah.
why was language developed? So that we
Um.
could agree on the time at which to throw our spears. So we could figure out how to gather resources for the fire. Like
uh.
to
I trade you grain for fish.
yeah, these are you need language to describe the fish, describe the grain, right? Like so you got to
Right.
point at things and start naming things. That's
Right.
why
Strongly.
language developed.
Yeah.
Can
I
you
would
use
go.
it for evil purposes? Of course.
Disagree or strongly disagree for
Okay.
me.
All right, that's where I'm at too. I strongly disagree.
Yeah.
Human society should be viewed through a pessimistic lens. I disagree.
Yeah. Disagree.
I don't strongly disagree. There are negative things about human society, and there are
Hmm.
negative things about the nature of man. I think we're fundamentally flawed. I am on the original sin train. We'll talk about that
Like,
another
right. Like I
time.
could be. You see, I can be pessimistic, but I'm not going to instantaneously believe it off the bat without seeing it with my own eyes and witnessing it,
Well, yeah.
because then I'm just
I mean,
making
well, that is
assumptions.
to say, I think that it's important to be optimistic with both eyes
Right.
open, right? So I'm
Right.
skeptical but optimistic.
Right.
So I disagree. Societies of vulnerability will always defeat societies of exclusion.
Oof. Societies of vulnerability will always defeat society. Disagree.
Yeah, I disagree. I don't think anything's inevitable. I
Right.
think that sometimes the bad guys win.
Right. Nazi Germany. I mean, didn't win the war, but they won for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to go or talk about the Japanese? Do you want to talk about Nanking?
Yeah.
Shall we go there?
No, talk about
Right.
the Genghis Khan. Okay. So,
Right. There you go. Yes. So,
a liberal democracy is the final stage in social development.
societal.
It's the oh yeah, sorry, societal development. It's the final form.
I'm willing to say that there's things in the future that I don't know. So disagree.
I disagree because it's not a republic. You know, like, I hate the way democracy is used. All right. There's more
just
to
shut
this
down
world.
now. You have
Yeah,
failed,
yeah, I
Tess.
got,
You
got
have
us, get us
failed.
YouTube banned. There is more to this world than the purely physical.
Agree.
Yeah. All people possess a soul.
Agree.
Wow. Okay, I agree with that as well.
Hmm.
History can be understood as a great march of progress. It can be.
Yeah. I mean, we were just talking about Genghis Khan, though. So
Weasel words.
Weasel.
History can be understood as a great march.
I mean,
um,
this is this is a weasel question. Man, because what is progress to one is not progress to another.
well,
Uh, I
I just
mean,
don't think, no, there's hiccups in the great march of progress.
right.
There's literally a time at which we have no writing. We
Yeah,
call it the Dark Age because a civilization effectively collapsed.
I'm gonna go disagree.
Okay.
Just not strongly, but just
Yeah,
disagree.
yeah, I was right on the line there too.
Yeah.
Human nature is nasty, brutish, and short. It must be repressed by society.
Disagree.
I disagree with Hobbes as well. I
Yeah.
agree that human nature is nasty, brutish, and short, but it must be controlled by a self-controlled individual.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree here. There are people who were challenged by their demons who made beautiful pieces of art and literature and exposed their weaknesses to others who then said, "Hey, I am not alone," and
Yeah.
I mean,
Again, like some form of repression is necessary, but that should be societal repression is where I tend to disagree. Um,
there was yeah, where let me see if I can find
and what they call repression, I might just call um, reservation.
right. What I don't remember. This is someone's going to butcher me if they heard me talking about it this way. Again, about that, I don't remember the art piece, let alone the show. It's an English show that they're in a telephone booth and they travel all over the
Oh
place.
yeah, yeah, Doctor Who.
Right. So Doctor Who,
Quite
and they
silly.
go back in they go back in history and they bring back this I believe he's either a Scottish or Irish painter,
Hmm.
and they bring him to the future.
Well, there's
Um,
one episode where they bring Van Gogh.
it is Van Gogh.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, yeah,
Right.
he's French or
Oh, I'm
Dutch. Dutch.
sorry.
Sorry.
But he gets brought back to the present time and he's like, this is all my work, and all the pain and suffering he went through when he created his pieces, and he's seeing how people are now looking at his art as masterpieces of his soul, of the things he went through, and he's in tears. It's like, there you go.
Yeah,
There's the exact
it's sort of
example.
kitsch television, but it has a rare poignant moment.
Right.
um,
Right.
yeah,
I would agree.
that was it was stuck with me because I also saw that episode, and
There you go.
I hardly watch it.
No, I mean, pieces here and there. I don't even get to watch the show. I just remember that piece. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Um, all right, we are defined morally, at least in part, by our actions.
Agree.
Yeah. If a society is not grounded by ancestral traditions, it will fall into chaos.
Agree.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
We should strive to eliminate social biases towards minority groups.
See, here you go. What do you define as a minority group?
What do you define as a social bias?
There you go. Right. So, like,
Like,
we
are
talk
other
about
biases okay? What about
right. I mean,
non-social biases?
and for those listening, like, please do not think that we're like, excuse my language, but screw Native Americans. No, again, as I just stated, you'll treat every individual, for at least for me, treat every individual, and I'm sure you feel the same way. Treat
Oh,
people
yeah.
the way you want to be treated. But what about the KKK?
Is that a minority group? What's a minority? Yeah, okay, I see. Like, are these ethnic minorities? Are these minorities of? Are these
Right.
political minorities?
Right.
The Nazis are a political minority. There should be some social bias towards Nazis. Yeah, I agree.
R-
Okay.
right.
So I
I mean,
disagree that we should engage on society-wide social engineering projects.
Right. I agree with you on that one.
Right, that we
I agree
disagree
that
on
you
the question.
disagree. Yes.
Okay.
I
Humanity
knew
can
like
be relied upon to self-regulate and self-reform.
uh, ooh,
Humanity's broad.
oh, oh man. I'm gonna agree, but I'm not gonna like it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
gonna agree, but I'm not gonna like it.
I'm going to agree and not like it as well. I don't like the framing. It's too broad and
Right.
it's too easy to
Right.
find loopholes in that. Um, we are currently in the dark age of human flourishing.
Disagree.
How could we possibly be in the dark?
Like
Strongly
what?
disagree, right?
Uh,
There are
I mean,
7 billion people on the earth.
well, flourishing physically. What about with soul, religion, values?
Right, like well,
Um,
in the degraded West is what you're thinking. Like we might have been at a higher point. Regardless, we're not in the Dark Age,
no, no, that's laughable.
so
Um,
we might be in a slight regression in some places.
I'll lean with you. Fine, I'll go strongly disagree. I mean, I'm a little bit more on the disagree side, but like we're in that realm.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're right there. So
a collective founded on absolute values will always outlive those founded on relative values. I don't know what you consider the life of a collective to be.
collective of people. I don't know, but my mind instantaneously went to like
A culture.
a Stalinistic regime versus that of our own. Um,
Right. Well, the Stalinistic regime has relative values.
Absolute.
No, no, no. It has absolute authority. It has no values.
Well, again, what do you perceive as values?
Whatever the state position was
Right,
that you must absolutely agree with whatever Stalin's whim is at the moment.
right. So he has
But
absolute his
but there's not
absolute
that's not
values.
a value.
What he considered them a
That's
value.
not a strongly held belief. Stalin believed in nothing.
But his values,
What
his,
values?
his values, whatever he decided.
Yeah, Stalin's values are Stalin,
It's
Stalin,
horrible.
Stalin.
It's horrible. It's true. His values. My God, this is horribly entertaining, and it
Stalin's
shouldn't be.
list of Stalin's commandments. Um,
Great purge.
thou shalt purge anyone who blinks at you.
Right. Shall find good photograph editor.
Right. Thou shalt keep thy ministers off balance by forcing them to drink late into the night. I mean, like, are those
Yeah.
values?
Oh, okay. Whew. Whew. All right. Collective absolute values always. Um, disagree.
All
Or,
right. Will always. Yeah, I
mm,
disagree that they will always.
yeah, disagree.
But I think they might. Again, like, um, compare with the Imperial Japanese,
Yeah, yeah.
who
I.
did found their culture on extreme absolute values, and
Mm-hmm.
their culture did outlive,
Mm-hmm.
the culture of some of their neighbors,
Right. That's
the
a fantastic
Koreans, for instance.
example. That's a
Uh,
fantastic example.
to,
I
to defend my evil point, like
well,
my like, no, you need
yeah,
black and
yeah,
white.
yeah. I mean, should I feel bad that I now want to go see the Death of Stalin again? I want to watch it
Oh, it's so good.
again.
That's so funny. Um, Without a constraining force, society will always tend towards immorality. Um,
Are you glass half full or glass half
I'm
empty?
glass half empty on this. That is to say, I think that,
Uh,
and among those constraining forces, I think are natural forces, right? So I'm not saying without a
right, right.
constraining government force. I mean, like, okay, so if food and shelter and pleasure and all these things that, like the hierarchy of needs or whatever, are plentiful,
Hmm.
and nobody ever had to lift a finger for anything, I think we'd become very, very hedonistic and
Hmm.
lazy.
So you're going to disagree?
I'm going with without a constraining force, society tends towards immoral. I agree because I think hedonism is immoral.
Okay, I'll go agree with you there.
So what I'm saying is like the sun is hot. The snow is cold. I need to get some food in my belly. These force people to behave in more appropriate and good ways. And without those things, people would be monsters.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go with you on that one. All right.
Or that is to say, what if there was no death? What if people lived forever? You think people would get up to really good, righteous stuff in their 1,000th year of life? I don't think so.
Well, yeah, moving on. we gotta get rolling.
All right. It is better to die standing than to live on one's knees.
Strongly agree.
Yeah. All institutions are biased towards their own cultural background. Agree.
Yeah, agree.
No institution can be truly egalitarian. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I agree, right? Like, can a foot race be truly egalitarian? No, one guy was born without a leg.
Mm-hmm.
Foot races are an institute. Like what could be more pure without any political bias? You know?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Without God and higher ideals, institutions will collapse. And higher ideals. If they'd phrased it or, we would agree really easily.
Right.
I agree that without higher ideals of some form, institutions will collapse.
Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely leaning agree. So
it's hard to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some people will always be more successful than others.
Strongly agree.
Yeah. I was not born a supermodel. I was not born a fighter pilot.
Yeah. My vision sucks. Can't be.
Our modern world is progressing towards utopia. Strongly disagree.
Exactly.
Man's natural state is egalitarian and pacifistic.
Disagree.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We can best pursue meaning by living a disciplined and virtuous life.
Agree.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Different combinations of social identities produce unique forms of disadvantage and oppression. Disadvantage doesn't produce oppression all by its lonesome.
Right.
This is the intersectional argument.
Right. Different combinations of societal identities produce unique forms of disadvantages and oppression.
I disagree because I think I think individuals produce unique forms of disadvantage and oppression, but that's not the question.
No, I think
the question is
think,
which brand of Skittles are you, and therefore.
Right. See, I'm leaning a little more on the agree side.
Well, I understand why, but and if they had left out and oppression, I would agree with you.
Ooh.
It produces oppression. The fact that you were born without a leg, the fact that you are half Malaysian, half lesbian. I don't know, like whatever like it's an ethnicity that can be inherited.
Right.
But like these combination of things produce oppression in and of themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Go. You
slightly
saying disagree? Yeah, slightly disagree. Yeah.
Science and rationality are best when it comes to describing our world. I almost agree.
Yeah.
Just based on describing.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't say explaining.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There is more to life than the pursuit of pleasure.
Strongly agree.
Liberation of the individual from all arbitrary boundaries, race, gender, etc., is ideal. But I disagree that those boundaries are arbitrary.
Right.
Who arbitred?
Who was to decide
Unless
it
you're saying
instantaneously?
that
Yeah.
God, unless your belief that God is stronger than I am, and God arbitred that I would have this plumbing or that plumbing.
Right.
But no human decided what my plumbing would be, and I think that okay, so clearly I have problem with
I'm
the
in the
gender
same
thing.
ballpark. Yeah, I'm
But
in the same
even
ballpark you are.
race. No,
Right.
what person decided what my race would be? Nobody. Well, okay, so race is something that
I mean, this is
I'm not really into race as much as I'm into culture and and genealogy, right?
mhm.
And those being things that we can sort of combine to describe something called ethnicity. Race is kind of an outdated idea, but I strongly disagree.
Okay. Yeah. If I'm in between disagree and strongly disagree.
All right, I'll take my half out of the middle this time. Social relations should be understood primarily as expressions of tyrannical power.
Strongly disagree?
Yeah.
What?
Social relationships are tyrannical? No. Society tends towards immorality, and as such, they require a strong leader to maintain order. I
Disagree.
disagree that a strong leader helps you with your morality problem. I
Right.
agree that a strong leader can help you with your, border problem.
Yeah,
Okay.
disagree.
Society will always consist of rulers and subjects.
Agree.
Wow. All right. But you think that in a constitutional republic we're all rulers? Or do you think that
No,
kings are just the natural way of things and this is a minor aberration along the way?
no, but I think there are ruling classes and subject classes. So, for example, I'm a voter. I am not a politician. Hence, I'm technically. I mean, I can
They
be.
work
I
for
can
you
become,
according to the Constitution.
according to the Constitution. But the reality of the situation is that we don't always know what they do, and they certainly do things they should not. Listen, there were some fantastic
But
politicians
you
in
would
the
also
past.
die on your feet rather than live on your knees. So you don't care if they're violating um, the social compact. When they come to you and say, "I am your ruler, you must get on your knees before me," you will not, and you will live. You will die a free man, and not
Yeah,
a slave.
right.
So you don't believe that you think there are rulers and subjects, but we choose which we are.
I think there are classes of people who are rulers, who are subjects. We in this society can become. I can go into local politics if I so choose, and maybe I will be successful.
Well,
And then,
let me. So the way the question is framed, every society will consist of rulers and subjects.
and I think that they do.
All right, I will agree with you, although I'm on the fence. The idea of progress and rationality are symptoms of societal decline.
Disagree.
I disagree.
Disagree.
I think
Yeah.
those ideas are largely good.
Right.
I have some problems with the French rationalism and
Right.
what's his name uh,
You say.
Thomas Paine. I have problems with Thomas Paine's second book, but
God, I think I go
anyway.
more Nietzsche. Yeah.
uh, every civilization goes through a birth, rise, and fall.
I would agree.
Um,
I'm not
yeah,
going to say a
actually,
fall
I
means
also
like
agree.
death.
You can control, or you can do things to control the timing of that, or to influence the timing of that. But yeah,
Right.
the most successful people are those who are the most deserving of their success.
Strongly disagree.
I only slightly disagree.
I don't. I mean, you could deserve based off certain morality good things. It doesn't mean they're going to happen to you.
Well, I mean, Stalin didn't get where he was by
Being a
um,
saint.
well, yeah, no, he didn't get where he was by being a saint, but he also didn't get where he was by being ineffective or lazy.
Oh, okay. I see the route you're going now.
Okay, so like I don't think that
Right.
he I don't think that he deserves on a moral level, but he deserves on a physical level what he got.
Right.
Right,
Right.
right. Like
Okay.
there's a so I disagree slightly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll go with you.
Individuals have a duty towards upholding the collective good.
I want them to. Doesn't
I
mean
would
that
say
I get what I
yes,
want. Yeah, I
yes.
mehave I agree,
Um,
but I know that
you
doesn't
have a
always work out
personal
that way.
responsibility to those around you and to those in your sphere of influence. I don't think that there should be any excuse for you to be compelled because it takes away your choice.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea that you have a duty, yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Societal hierarchies often come about through the oppression of disadvantaged groups.
Disagree.
Okay, you would say that societal hierarchies come about through competence. That
Yeah.
so you're more in the Jordan Peterson camp on that, where you're sort of saying like, hey, look, um, there was no leader and people starved, and then a leader showed up and organized the food gathering, or
Yep.
fended off the enemy attack, and the people benefited, and therefore he was instantiated in a traditional role. And maybe his son was a screw up, but at least the initiation of the hierarchy comes from a natural place.
Right. I mean, for a hierarchy to exist, a society or a group of people need to agree that that person is the person. And yeah, if they do exactly what you just said, then they will usually follow that individual. There'll always be some that don't follow, that will not go with this person regardless of what they do. But to say a society functions that the leader just instantaneously oppresses everybody, it's
Right.
not going to work.
I mean, like, what if two cultures are fighting and the side that's the underdog wins?
Yeah.
Well, the group that lost wasn't disadvantaged to begin with.
Right. Right. Right.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
disagree.
Yep.
Uh, Direct or pure democracy is the ideal form of government. Strongly disagree.
Yeah. Disagree. Yeah.
Direct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Strongly disagree.
Yeah. Yeah.
An action is generally good if its consequences are good.
Disagree.
I also disagree with John Stuart Mill. I am not a consequentialist utilitarian. Peaceful societies are rare and fragile.
Disagree.
All right. Through sexual exploitation and liberation, we can escape society's control. We can escape
Societies
societies of control.
of control through sexual. Strongly
I
disagree.
strongly disagree with the 1960s revolution as well.
Right. I mean, that's great. If you want to do that, fine.
All
But
right. So now there's this, like, they're trying to data collect from us. I'm not going to allow it.
yeah, go away.
Just show me my results.
Right.
All right. So we are overall right leaning, about
Hmm.
65% if we combine our leanings.
Yes.
So you could see that we're firmly on the right hand, but we're not in the like extreme
Right.
camp.
Right.
We are largely transcendental with a healthy dose of naturalism,
Hmm.
right? So we believe there are higher purposes, maybe a higher power. We're a little agnostic on that,
Hmm.
but we think that there's a purpose beyond this, like,
Ooh,
crude
the
matter.
next one.
Yeah, progressive versus entropic. We lean slightly against progressivism politically and towards the idea of entropy. But we're really
Fair-
right down the middle on that. We're saying
Right.
there's neither automatic progress nor automatic disaster. We do think there's decay, but we think you can do things to limit the decay.
Right.
And then we are very, very traditional and very much opposed to deconstructivism, which is a late 20th century or
Yeah.
mid 20th century sort of Frankfurt School Marxism, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Hierarchy versus equality. Hmm. I don't like the way they phrase
well,
this.
because they don't mean equality, they mean equity.
Yes. But
So they don't put a distinction. Anytime they did give us a distinction, we went towards the equality side. right?
Right. Right.
Um, but yeah, so we're we're not fans of hierarchies as much as we recognize that hierarchies are inevitable,
Right.
and some are good and some are bad. But
Right.
we think that you're not going to have some kind of utopia where you do away with all hierarchies.
Mm-hmm.
We also think that control is a thing. Like we're liberated, but not like in a 1960s LSD way.
Yes,
Um,
indeed.
so we think that control is something that happens. All right.
Hmm.
So what do these results mean? This is pretty interesting. I'll happily send you this, or I'll send you a screenshot of it.
Yeah, certainly.
So we okay. Now it's just telling us what we just read.
Right.
Oh no, wait. Oh, okay. Hold on. There's a little more. Um, all right. So these are different axes. Your overall tendency towards left or right. We got that. Metaphysically, um, we are naturalist. Oh no, wait. Hold on. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is the same thing. Never mind.
Hmm.
So they're telling us that entropy thing was technological, that the social thing on deconstruction was, yeah, okay, that's like social politics.
Hmm.
Structurally, equality over hierarchy or hierarchy over equality is an anthropological position we hold, apparently. We anthropologically, we think hierarchies are a thing. And on the psychological axis, we are, wow, we're really, yeah, more thinking that society has to exert control over the individual. See, nowhere were we given questions about the individual.
Right.
And any time the questions were about control, they were about people need to be controlled. But
Right.
that didn't mean for me a government needs to control them. Nowhere was the Leviathan question offered,
Right.
except in one place where I went against it. So anyway, yeah, a little misleading, but I think it was kind of cool to see some of these. So I'll ship you these results.
Yes, please do. All right.
Oh, and we just got our introducing quote, and I think that we could adjourn if the chair is so amenable.
I certainly am. Um, so that would be good.
All right, we'll head over there now that we're all thinking in a different frame.
You're all over the place. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, so here's what Epictetus says. We can guess how he might have scored on some of these. That might be fun later. Um,
Oh, God.
Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of those things. Thus, death is nothing terrible. Else, wait, we did this, didn't we?
I thought. Yeah, yeah. No, I
Um,
think we're two down. I think we're on seven,
we're on 7.
or maybe
No, we're on. Hold on.
six
Let me
or
just check.
seven. We
So
might be on 6 or 7.
we did the baths.
Yes.
We did the child. No, we're on 5. We're
Okay.
correctly on 5.
Okay.
All right. So it's just similar. There's a lot of similar
Mhm.
themes in these.
Well, it should be, but yeah, go on. Go
Yep.
on.
Thus, death is nothing terrible, else it would have appeared so to Socrates. But the terror consists of our notion of death, that it is terrible. When therefore we are hindered or disturbed or grieved, let us not impute it to others, but to ourselves, and that is to our own views. It is the action of an uninstructed person to reproach others for his own misfortunes, of one entering upon instruction to reproach himself, and one perfectly instructed to reproach neither others nor himself. Did we do this?
I feel like we
You
did.
feel like we did. All right. I feel a little bit like we did too. Because I think I remember sort of interpreting like, okay, what does it mean? And we
Right.
interpreted that what it means is that um, it's okay to reproach yourself for things you can control, but
Right.
it demonstrates a foolishness to be worried about things you can't control,
Right.
or to worry about other people because you don't control them. All right. So number 6. This seems right. Be not elated at any excellence which is not your own. If a horse should be elated and say, I am handsome, it might be endurable. But when you are elated and say, I have a handsome horse, know that you are elated only with the merit of the horse. What then is your own? the use of the phenomena of existence. So when you are in harmony with nature in this respect, you will be elated with some reason, for you will be elated at some good of your own. Not just look at this cool thing that I came into possession of.
Right. Right.
So
That's interesting. I don't know. I'm instantly reminded of when I'm talking about early psychology, how young children, when they're not very good at expressing themselves, how they have someone they're very interested who comes in the home. They take all their toys. Look what I have. Look what I have. Look what I have. Because they can't express their excitement, so they want to show you the things that they have
right.
to share in their excitement.
And even older children, if I give a school age child, something of mine, which is my possession, and they know that I value, they tend to be quickly placated and very interested in that thing.
Right.
They just need something to focus on for a minute.
Right. That's. I guess you could say there's a maturity level. Getting to an older place in your understanding of what is valuable, and you can see how children view it. It's fascinating. They're still coming into being with themselves. Huh.
Yep.
That is interesting.
Good old Stoic Epictetus, still relevant. So,
there you go. Yeah. If only more people place value on.
Well, this is our small effort. So that's it for today, I should think.
Indeed. All right. It was a long one, but it was excellent. There's so much in there. But yeah, we'll come back next week. We'll see what craziness ensues, and we'll see where we go.
All right, very good.
All right. Have a good one.
All right, I've stopped it.
All right.
Oh man, that was long.
That was long, but it was good. What did it come up to? Can you see?
About 2 hours, I should. Well, no, we didn't get started till about 9:10, 9:15.
Even a little further. I would say like 9:20 something.
Okay, so it's like an hour and 40 or something like that.
Yeah. So, all right, I got a lot of work to do here in the house, but hey, that was a real good one. So.
All right, I'll let you go.
All right. Yeah. Have a good one, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah. See you.